Hi and welcome back YouTube viewers to a series I'm doing called Getting the Most Out of your Traxxas T Maxx. In Volume 1 you would have seen how we added the Easy Start system to the vehicle so we could start the car remotely. In Part 2 you would have seen us actually demonstrating the remote starting system. In Part 3 you saw how we added the extra fuel tank there. That really just adds and extends those running times. And today in Part 4 we're going to show you how to add an extra servo to your Traxxas T Maxx to enable you to be able to stop your vehicle using the third channel on your remote system. The cool thing about this is that you're not going to have to sacrifice your forward and reverse gear to be able to do this. In fact, we're going to manipulate that forward and reverse gear to be able to stop the T Maxx. Okay, firstly let's have a look at the servo and what we've got going on here. Okay, we've got a servo horn on it. On the end of that servo horn we've got a screw going through into a bearing. Now the hole which goes into the bearing is actually too big for that screw, so what we've done is I've cut a very short length of tubing and stuck that inside the bearing, and then that screw then screws into the tubing and holds it nice and firmly in place. And the idea of that bearing, as you'll see shortly, is it creates a rolling surface. So what happens is that when we push the third channel, because the third channel is now controlling this servo here and this servo here, and they're identical, their movements are identical, we need to set this up so that when this, because we're going to use this, basically the servo horn, to pinch the fuel line. And so we need it to be able to roll past the tubing here without grabbing when we don't want it to. So when you flick the switch, I'll do that now, you'll see that it is able to just roll clear nicely of that fuel tubing and not stop the vehicle in any shape or form. Having the toggle in that position there, that's your forward. Going over to the reverse servo here, and that's reverse. So basically the two servos are just duplicating their movements. Now, how we actually use the third channel to stop the T Maxx is we need to center the servo position. And how you can do that, there's actually two ways. The easy way of doing it, well, the way of doing it without having to modify your transmitter, is to just basically center the switch. So if you move it slowly, you'll reach a point where it'll just center itself, and then it'll lock there. If you continue to push, it'll all of a sudden move over. It is a bit of a balancing act though. I'll just go back, center it, moves a bit forward, and then it shoots across. So it's not an ideal way of centering the servo. Of course, when you center that servo, you're centering this one, which is effectively putting the gears into a neutral position, as it were. So you wouldn't do this obviously when the car is moving. Obviously you stop the car, you center the servo, which then stops the car. So that's the idea of how it works. So you're not having to add an extra channel to control it separately. You're now using the same channel, you've just put two servos in it via a Y junction, which you've got plugged into the transmitter, third channel, and then this servo and the other servo just plugs into the two ports which go to that Y channel. So that's how that works. Okay, now as far as making it run smoothly and easily, that's the point of the little cutout switch on the side here. We add that. So basically, when we push that switch in, instead of having to hold that and toggle it and get into the center, it just does it automatically. And you'll see that it centers. It's pinching the fuel line now, and if this was actually running, it'd actually stop it. I push it again, and then it relieves it, allows the fuel to go through, so you can now restart the vehicle using the starter system. And of course, when you push the button, it goes back to either the forward or reverse position, whatever it was set at prior to pushing the switch again. And of course, it doesn't create a problem for the forward or reverse system in any shape or form, because of course you've already brought the vehicle to a stop for the point of stopping it. By pushing that button, it just goes into neutral, and now we're blocking the fuel line and it's stopping it. And of course you can't start the vehicle again until you push that button, and do it now, and then it opens up the fuel line, then you can restart it. And so it's a very simple system. It does mean you don't have to upgrade your transmitter. It does mean you don't need to upgrade your receiver to be able to handle more channels. So the idea of this whole setup with the remote starting, the remote stopping system is that we don't have to add extra channels, which you would normally expect, say if you're using a ROS system or another system, systems that are out there. So it's done very cheaply. You don't have to spend very much money at all, of course, for the starter system. You've already got the easy starter, you've got the battery. You do need a cutout switch. A magnet's useful if you want to use a magnet to hold the switch down. And of course here you're just needing an extra servo, a Y connector for your servo, some extra long fuel line, which I just happen to have anyway because I had this extra JATO fuel tank. And so yeah, you've basically got everything you need. Now if you want further information on how to add this switch in, I didn't come up with that actual switch idea myself. I saw that on YouTube not long ago. Look up Traxxas radio rear steer installation. That'll give you a more in-depth look at how to add that little switch. Basically all you're doing is you're taking the back off the transmitter. You'll see a little circuit board, and there are 3 wires. You want to detach the grey wire. You want to attach that grey wire now to one of the 2 free ports on that switch, solder it together, take the other free port, solder a wire to that, and then take that wire back to the very soldering point that you just desoldered to make the or create that little cutout switch here and make it operate. So it's very simple. I'm not going to go through the installation of it because 1, it's not my idea, and 2, you can look up Traxxas radio rear steer installation yourself for a more in-depth way of doing that. So that's basically it. Now next time I want to actually demonstrate the remote starting, the stopping, the fuel tank, all the rest of it in operation. So look forward to that one. It won't be a very long video. Yeah, so I hope this has created a little bit of interest, and I can tell you now, once you have all these features, you really come to like them. You you don't want to go back to pinching the fuel line or driving the car to you to block the exhaust or whatever. It's great being able to flick a switch and the car stops. And there are situations, you roll a car, you're in trouble, you need to be able to switch off the vehicle, and this just enables you to do that. Same with starting. The vehicles can stall. You can just again turn a knob, flick a switch to start the vehicle. So yeah, it's the idea of these modifications to increase the fun. They're bashing mods, you might want to call it, the extra fuel tank, all these mods to add a little bit of extra weight, obviously, but it's for bashing. It's just for general running around, increasing those running times, less frustrating with starting and stopping and all that sort of thing. So I hope you enjoy the mods. They're not exclusively mods that need to be done just to the T-Maxx. You would have seen, if you've seen my series, getting the most out of your Traxxas JATO, I've done similar mods to that, and yeah, I just hope that yeah, you can really benefit from these mods and get the most out of your Traxxas T-Maxx. So until my final episode on getting the most out of Traxxas T-Maxx, where I actually demonstrate all these modifications, have a great day, and yeah, see you later. Bye for now.